Hi, this is Jason from Geek Fever Games, and we're going to show you how to set up a game of Queen's Quest. First, I'm going to just give you a quick pan of the entire table that I have set up here, so that you have some context as I go through the individual pieces. So we have the main parts of the game all the way up there. We have my own character sheet down here, we'll get to that. And over here we have the surplus characters, roles, and the rule book. Open to the setup page. All right, so from left to right, what we're going to do here is first talk about each of the pieces and kind of how you set them up on the table to get a game going. Here we have all of the races, and here we have all the classes. Each player is going to choose one of the races, one of the classes. It's a cooperative game, so you can do this freely and openly. We're going to mock a 4-player game setup here. So in a 4-player game, of the 6 roles, 2 characters are going to have to choose 2 of the roles. And it really doesn't matter which. This is not a game of competition. There is a little bit of functional difference, but you'll learn that as you go. When you take a race, let's say the green Hawkman here, you're going to take the associated pawn and also the associated 3 tracker tokens from this pile of tracker tokens that I have here. Those are going to be for your feats, your potions, and your health. All right, moving on. We have a pile of dice, nice and simple. We have decks of skills, common items, rare items. Separate those, shuffle them. We have a stack of experience tokens here. These are all 2-sided, 1 XP and 5 XP on the 2 different sides. We have a stack of status effects, haste tokens, weak, poison, strong, slow. Up top here, we have the main 2 boards in the game. The first is the party management board, where we have our Holy Quest, and this token here is the tracker token for how far along the Holy Quest we are. We begin at the begin quest space, and as we find the holy relics, we move that to, let's say we found the one in the Dark Forest, then we return it, and we kind of move that along that track. The food token, this little comma, that begins at the 5 spot. The 5 spots in blue to indicate that's the starting position. And as we spend food, that will go down to 0. 0 is bad, because it's red. At the beginning of the game, we're actually going to draw 3 skills and place them in these 3 spots on the party management board. These are the first 3 skills available for players to learn. So those are placed out, and there's some other instructions on the board. That's it for setup. The battle board, there's nothing to set up. Place it out here and place all of the 6 piles of monster cubes, the little wooden cubes, place them next to the battle board. As we get into battle with monsters, we're going to take the appropriate cubes, depending on the type of monsters, place them onto the board in the appropriate spaces. And by the way, the character pawns, let's say that we have green, red, yellow, and purple in the game. These are also going to be on the battle board. We don't do that right at the beginning of the game, but later on you're going to place those where appropriate. Over here, we have our decks of dungeon cards. On the left, we have the actual dungeon cards that get placed out and make up the dungeon. And on the right are encounter cards that are found in each of the respective depths of the dungeon. Shuffle each of those piles separately. And then all the way on the right here, I've put the different tokens for, we call them cover tokens. On one side is just floor. The little dots indicate floor tiles. And on the other side is some feature, whether it's a treasure chest, an encounter space, or a monster lair. And different encounters will instruct you to place either cover tokens or those special features on the dungeon. All right, at the very beginning of setting up the game, what you're going to do is take all of these monster tokens, all the ones with letters, and you're going to put them inside the red velvet bag. That is where you'll draw randomly as monsters are added to the dungeon, and they are all drawn from the bag, placed on the board. So place them into the red velvet bag, and that's nice and easy. Now in the center of the table, we have the actual dungeon, which begins with our town tiles. So there are 9 tiles for each of the depths of the dungeon, and 9 tiles for the town. These are placed in any order you want. The only thing that matters is this one here on the right, which is the party start space. This is the party token. It's the black background with the white @ sign. Goes on this space, on that tile. That's where the party begins. And the first space that they're going to explore is this space right here. They're going to draw from the Dark Forest dungeon. And the scout will determine how to place this tile. Let's say he places it like that. And then the leader is going to start moving on the tile. If he moves on the encounter space like here, then he'll draw the associated encounter card and proceed with the game as such. The rest of these tiles For the town, they don't matter where you place them. Be creative. You can have the scout set them up, or any other player that wants to. The only thing here is that the dark circle, at least in a 4 to 6 player game, indicated by that 4 to 6 down there, gets these pact tiles. There are 5 random pact tiles. On the back, it will say either pure, vile, or dark. And those are used later on in the game. You're going to shuffle that little stack of tiles and place them on the dark circle in that exact spot. The rest of these, most of them are two-sided. As I said, they say in the corner here, on the bottom of the instructions, says, in this case, 1 to 6 players. In that case, that tile's used in all size player games. But this one here, this one says 4 to 6 players. If we were playing only 1 to 3, you'd use this side. And the only difference really is how many spaces are available for players when they come to the town to actually use, in this case, the shop. There are 2 spaces in a 4 to 6 player game. In a 1 to 3 player game, there's only 1 space. But we're playing a 4 to 6 player game here, so we'll leave it like that. All right, so down below, I have already chosen my starting character. I'm going to be a Dark Elf Ranger. So I have the Dark Elf race card, and I have the Ranger class, which is also the Quartermaster role. It's one and the same. Class and role go hand in hand. In a 4-player game, as I mentioned earlier, 2 players are going to have to take 2 roles, because all 6 roles have to be in the game. So you'll see that I've also taken the Vanguard role. Now, here's an important aspect. If you look at the top right and the bottom of these role cards, the bottom indicates how you gain experience as that role, and up top is the actual starting statistics as to how fast I am in battle and how strong I am in battle. Now, on the flip side of every role is a passive version of the role. Everyone will always have 1 active role, which in my case is the Ranger, and then any extra roles have to be given out to other players on the passive side. On the passive side, you do not gain experience, and you don't have battle statistics in the upper corner. But the rules are still necessary for gameplay. If I was actually an active Vanguard, I'd be on this side. I'd see my statistics up there. And in the case of the Vanguard, I would also start with my tracker token for kills on the 0 space. Okay. In the case of my chosen roles, however, my Quartermaster here, we have a teamwork tracker, and the teamwork begins. It says 4-player max, so teamwork begins there in the 4-player spot. This is my character token, which will be used, let's say, in town. At the very beginning of the game, I'm going to go to the church, so I place myself on the church space. That's one of the first things you'll do at the very beginning of the game, is a quick town phase. And when I visit the church, I get strong and haste. So I'm hastened and I'm strengthened for the first fight that I'm in, maybe the second fight, they can carry over. So that's my token there. And then lastly, every player places their 3 tracker tokens on these spaces. This is the feet tracker token with the carrot. This is the potion with the exclamation point, and of course the iconic @ sign for my actual character, or the health in this case. As I get items, I have a weapon slot, a body slot, and a miscellaneous slot. Those are these decks of item cards here. So as I get those items, I would slot them in down here as appropriate. All right, so as far as setting up the game, that is pretty much it. Everyone will take their race and class. Everyone will take a town action. One last thing. At the beginning of the game and at the beginning of every town phase, which happens throughout the game, you're going to draw 3 skill cards, in a 4-player game at least. These are available for training at the hall. The hall says right here, draw 3 skill cards upon return to town. And you can go to the hall, any character wants to take one of these spaces, and train, gain one of those skills at -1 experience cost. So normally this would cost 4. You can gain this teleport spell for only 3. Also, we're going to draw some common items. 3 in a 4-player game. We'll also put those beside the town area. Those are available at the shop. It says here, draw 3 common upon return, and if you go to the shop, you can take one of those. Lastly, the Dark Circle, that place where we have those special pack tokens, says draw a rare upon return. So we're going to draw a rare item, put that beside the town And if anyone wants to go and take this ring of speed, it says +1 speed on that item, that magical item will come at the cost of taking a pact token. The pact tokens will hurt you later on in the game if you get dark or vile results. Once the town phase is over, we simply discard those drawn items and cards, skills. Discard those, and we can begin the game. That's it for setting up Queen's Quest. Essentially, place the piles and the decks of cards, all within reach of the players. Put all these monster tokens in there. Set up the town however you wish. Put the right tiles, the right side of the tiles face up based on the number of players in the game. Everyone takes a race and a class. And then any leftover classes have to be placed on the passive side on some number of players. I hope you enjoyed this. We look forward to showing you more about how to play Queen's Quest as we go. Take care.